It was 7:30 in London. That strange, quiet hour that no one really notices, yet everyone feels. The offices had started to close, their glass doors shutting, with a gentle clang that echoed faintly. Across the empty streets, underground stations were beginning to swell with commuters, their hurried footsteps mingling with the low hum of trains arriving and departing. And some people walked alone, carrying nothing but the hollow weight of their lives, silently counting the moments they had lost or never had. Zarin Malik was one of them. He walked through the glass towers of Canary Wharf with a quiet elegance. A sharp, navy suit hugged his frame. Polished shoes clicked on the wet pavement, and a leather briefcase swung lightly in his hand. But inside him, there was a hollow space, a quiet emptiness that not even the brightest London lights could fill. He walked through the evening mist, past the street lamps reflecting on puddles, and the faint smell of coffee shops and rain-dampened pavement filled the air. People passed by, talking loudly, laughing, moving fast, but he barely noticed them. Every evening, he took the DLR home. Same train, same time, same window seat by the door. It had become routine. But life has a way of breaking routines in the most unexpected ways. On that same train, almost every evening, there was that girl. Always late. Always slightly out of breath. Always carrying a small, careless smile that seemed to suggest she had no idea what the world demanded of her. She appeared like a burst of color in a monochrome routine. Her name was Sarah Ahmed. Zarin had noticed her from the very first ride. He didn't know why, but her presence unsettled him. It wasn't dramatic or sudden, but subtle, like the way a song could play faintly in your memory for days, refusing to leave. One day, curiosity overcame him. He turned to her and asked softly, almost hesitantly, "Why are you never on time?" Sarah laughed. A laugh so light, so unassuming, that it made the hum of the train feel softer. "Because if I arrive on time," she said, brushing her hair behind her ear, "life becomes boring." Zarin didn't reply. He didn't need to. Her words sank into him, quietly embedding themselves in a place he hadn't known was empty. Something in him changed that day. It wasn't love, not yet. It was curiosity, fascination, maybe the first brush of hope. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and every evening, the DLR became more than just a commute. It became a place where lives brushed against each other in the softest of ways. London's cafes, warm and inviting with the smell of roasted coffee beans and pastry, became their accidental meeting grounds. Sarah was a freelance photographer, chasing moments before they vanished. She captured light bouncing off wet streets, strangers' laughter, the melancholy of passing seasons. Zarin was a financial analyst, a man of numbers, charts, and calculations. He tried to make sense of life through formulas and data. Yet here was a girl who seemed to bend the world around her into beauty, chaos, and unpredictability. "You calculate everything," she teased one afternoon, adjusting her camera strap, "even love." Zarin smirked and shook his head. "Love," he said, looking into her eyes for the first time in that moment, "is the only thing that refuses to be calculated." She laughed, and he felt it, not just in his ears, but in the quiet spaces in his chest that had been empty for years. It was during one of those ordinary yet extraordinary evenings that everything changed. The sky had dimmed, clouds heavy with rain, and the River Thames shimmered under the faint glow of street lamps. They walked together under a bridge, rain falling lightly on their shoulders. The city around them seemed to hush, as if London itself was listening. "Zan, I have to leave London," she said suddenly, the words falling like stones into a still pond. He froze, his hand tightening around his briefcase, though he knew there was nothing to grasp. "Why?" he asked, though part of him already feared the answer. "This city. It takes too long to fulfill dreams," she whispered, her voice trembling just enough to show the weight of her decision. "And my dreams. They don't have that kind of patience." Silence swallowed them. The rain, the river, the city, everything faded into a quiet, tense moment. Then Zarin said, his voice barely audible, yet strong with emotion he had held back for months, maybe years, "What if I ask you to stay?" She looked at him, and in that look, he saw all the love, all the hesitation, all the impossibility. "It's too late," she said softly, shaking her head. Reality arrived with brutal clarity. Sarah had been offered a major project in New York, a career-defining opportunity. Zane's father was ill, and he could not leave London. The distance was inevitable. The timing, impossible. Maybe long distance could work. Zane suggested, clinging to hope like a lifeline. Sarah shook her head slowly. Some relationships don't survive distance. Zane, some relationships survive only when the timing is right. And ours wasn't. The last meeting came at Heathrow Airport, in the pale light of early morning. The terminal was almost empty, save for a few travellers and the distant hum of airplanes. They hugged. Tight, silent, desperate. If we had met in another city. Sarah whispered through her tears. Maybe the ending would have been different. Zane's voice cracked. Or maybe we were never meant to last. No, she said, pressing her forehead against his chest. We were meant to meet. The timing just wasn't right. And then she was gone. Years passed. Seasons changed. London moved on. People moved on. But time, somehow, remained frozen for Zane. 10 years later, at the same 7:30, Zane stood on the same DLR train. The city around him had changed. Shops had new names. Buildings had grown taller. But the routine remained. Same seat. Same train. Same silence. The doors opened. And a familiar voice said, "Excuse me, is this seat free?" Zane looked up. It was Sarah. Married now. A mother. But with the same honesty in her eyes, the same spark. They travelled together for a few stops. No words were exchanged, yet everything was said. Every glance, every small smile, every unspoken memory filled the space between them. Before leaving, she whispered softly, "Some loves become a life, and some become a lesson." The doors closed. Even today, Zane stands at that station. Every evening at 7:30. No waiting. No regrets. Only a quiet smile. And a single truth that warms and aches at the same time. They met. And sometimes, that is enough. If this story touched you, share it with someone who remembers a time, a place, a person. Like, subscribe, and stay with us for more stories from London. Some loves don't end, they echo.